Hello YouTube friends. Today I have a 2014 Kia Forte 5 EX, and they would tell me that the car run rough, okay, rough, and haven't done any tune up on this thing here, but um, they take to auto part, they scan it, it's misfire. That's what they told me. So misfire sometimes could be an easy fix, just spark plug or anything like that. But misfire sometimes it is a headache. Okay. If you try to buy a used car with the misfire and they say easy fix, they don't have time to change spark plug and they just want to get rid of it. And that is a red flag for buying used car misfire with easy fix. Okay, those I don't buy. Normally it's not easy fix, they probably gone through already and they just tell you, so you are playing to get you to buy their car at the price they want to get it, and you think the spark plug is only like $5, depending on what car. Like Honda Odyssey, a spark plug nearly $30 at the dealership, and about 16-17 bucks in the auto part. So it's not cheap sometimes, and it could be a nightmare. Why? Because it could be your cylinder is bad, so causing misfire. So misfire is not easy fix sometimes, and it could be a nightmare. That's what I said. Okay, so let's go see what kind of code you have. Okay, on this right here, your OBD2 reader right inside here. If you bend down, you see few OBD2. So that's right there. And let me use a cheap scan tool. When I fix car, I try to get something very simple as possible, so everybody at home can be able to do it. Now, if you don't have this $30 scan tool, you can go to Autopart and they can scan for you with no charge. Misfire cylinder 3. Okay, this one's misfire cylinder 3. So let's go do some part switch. Okay, let's do ignition coil first, because ignition coil is easy. Okay, let's go do that. You see how much shaking it is with the misfire? Engine is shaking a lot. Okay, so let's go do the ignition coil swap. Okay, just pop this out. Let's just cover, pull a little bit. So some car may be hard, some car is not. All right. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So number 1 and number 3, that's what we're going to swap. Okay. And take out that. And I'm pull this little thing here, pull all the way, so you can clip on it. Take this out. Do the same thing. Just in case if your this thing broke, it's okay. So I'm going to swap right now to see if that will be any different. Code changing. The reason you're swapping is to diagnose to see your cylinder number 3 is changing to cylinder number 1. Okay. If it doesn't change, that means something else. Let's move on. So first thing first is you have to clear the code first. You have to clear the code and then start it over. Because if you don't clear the code, then that means the code still reading is cylinder number 3. So let me start it. Engine still shaking. Okay, you can hear that. Normally you can drive the car until the engine lights come in, or you step the gas hard to get engine lights blinking. So that what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my OBD2 to it, and I'm going to punch in to see if engine lights blinking. Okay, now engine lights blinking. So that means the engine, something that not function. That's what telling you that engine lights is on. Okay. So now when I swap from number 3 to number 1, and now it's a PO 301. Before it was 303. So now I know that, okay, possible the ignition coil is bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the ignition coil on this. In case you want a part number, made in China, it's a C1804. That's an AutoZone brand. You can get it online way cheaper, but this is lifetime guarantee. That means in case this failure, you will get another one, no charge. Okay, let me do cylinder number 1 swap with the new one to see how it's run again. Okay, now something like this is easy, right? But if in case not the ignition coil, and it will be the fuel injector, then it will be hard, because you have to remove this intake manifold to get it into it, because right under here. I don't know why they put it under here beside on top right here, you know. Alright, let's go crane again to see if that's happening. Okay, let me go start to see if the engine's still shaking. If the engine's still shaking, that means it will be no solution. Alright, the engine is very steady. There's no more vibrating. Okay? So that means the engine is run rough, because the one of the ignition coil is not working properly. So you run only 3 cylinder on this. And on this is over 100,000 miles. So I will do a spark plug replacement too. Recommended is NGK and Iridium, because they using Iridium spark plug on this, and you have to don't get like Bosch or any other brand beside NGK or NTK. Okay, if you get our brand, then it's still okay, but it's not function like it should. Okay, it's not too bad, but a lot of miles or changing is better. Okay, I have a customer that who buy a Tacoma, right? Tacoma is a very hot item. That's a 2003 Tacoma, and those are the 2.7 4-cylinder one. He went to see that car, which is, they say, well, it's just a misfire. It will be easy to fix. And I told him that, you know, misfire, you can spend up to a couple grand, because the 2.7 motor is an expensive one, and not just that, you will have a hard time to find one. At a good used one or a remanufactured, probably like $2,000-3,000. And okay, misfire could be just a spark plug. So when it brought home and he changed spark plug, still the same thing. He changed ignition coil, still the same thing. And so he asked me what happened. Well, I went there, do a compression test. So one of the cylinder is very low compression. So we end up to buy a used engine, nearly $1,000, you know. So something like that is not fun, you know. It's not fun. Misfire is not fun. Okay. All right, thank you for watching. Very easy fix, and now you can do the same thing on this one here. I just swap the ignition coil, and that's in right there, because the ignition coil tell me that it's bad. Okay. If you swap the ignition coil, it isn't changing, then do compression test to see if you have a good amount of compression. If you have a reading compression is good, then that could be your injector, because injector you have to removing the intake manifold on this, and will be take longer to do that. But this type of diagnosis, you don't have to have a expensive equipment. The injector swap just like the ignition coil, but on this case here, I recommend just buy an injector because it's harder to swap the injector because you would want to do many times. But if you don't have the dollar, then you can do a swap and take your time to do removing the intake manifold a couple times to get you used to it, to make it easier for you. Normally, injector does not clog up or doesn't, not function like the ignition coil. The reason ignition coil have more failure because they're dealing with the igniter. When igniter, happening like touches a lot of vibrate, then they tend to crack on the magnet or something like that. Then yeah, you have a problem on that more than the injector. Okay, I will see you guys next video. Don't forget to help me subscribe. Bye bye now.